Crystal Tower, more or less the big bat tower where the last boss is supposed to be, filled to the brim with challenge after challenge, and monsters that will test your strength, seeing if you're worthy for the chance to beat the big bad boss at the top of the floor. Of course, this place is more than just a trap-infested, monster-dwelling, and beautiful-looking raid dungeon with an interesting story, which is one of the reasons why I made this video, and the very reason you're probably watching. Or perhaps you just wandered over here. In that case, please stay. Is 1,000 subs too much to ask for? Anyway, we've come to part 2 of our trilogy, and I do want to apologize for the late upload. When a computer you have is attacked by 5001 malware viruses, you have little choice but to wipe the computer or get a really expensive protector software that'll keep it alive, essentially on life support. And nobody wants a computer that should have kicked the bucket a long time ago. It's like watching an 18-year-old pet still try to make the jump onto the kitchen countertop. It's just sad to watch. So I wiped it, lost a good chunk of my stuff, and had some backed up. So far, the wipe actually made my computer run a bit faster, but I'm gonna need another terabyte of hard drive space. I used about a good terabyte backing up my data, and saving some of my stuff. You see kids, never, and I mean never, decide to start looking up nasty stuff on the internet. Not like I ever do, but don't do it anyway. So let's get back on track. The Crystal Tower, or Circus Tower as said in the game, houses not only traps and monsters, but machinations that can truly be said as things of marvel, holding a very powerful purpose that was supposed to make the Allegan Empire something of an eternal dynasty. In 14, the tower was created by the Allegans to harness the power of the sun, an eternal and powerful source of energy that never dies out. The tower acted as a conduit to absorb energy, and the energy was relayed for a single solitary purpose: to open a door large enough to pour out the power of darkness. From the world of darkness. Wait, what? The tower is actually just a big-ass key to open a freaking door? The answer is yes, the tower is a giant key made to open the door to darkness. Without stepping into the Kingdom Hearts storyline, there was a reason for all of this. In the last video, I explained that a big bad mean guy named Xande brought darkness to the world in Final Fantasy III. In fact, when he did bring darkness to the world, he brought a freeze to the flow of time. Trees did not grow, people did not age, but monsters ravaged the land and brought chaos to the world. In fact, it was all underwater. No, I'm serious. The world, when you reach the surface, was all underwater. The reason for this is because one of the big bad meanies that guard the crystal, that being Kraken, flooded the world when he stole the power of the water crystal, which kept balance of the world's oceans. When you reach the surface, this is what you're graced with. And after you take out Kraken, you get this. The funny thing about this is the fact that you get to discover many locations that don't seem so wet, like it's been underwater for many years or anything. I mean, come on, when you reach Lido, your first thought should have been, why haven't you people drowned yet? Now as for the tower being a gate to the world of darkness in 14, it is the same in 3. Xande opens a portal to the world of darkness. in order to freeze time because of death anxiety, and because of this, the warriors had to fight their way through the maze-like tower. Like, no, it's even more maze-like than the maze of the ancients. Like, seriously. While fighting through the tower, you are greeted by enemies that you probably have seen in 14. Doga's clone looking not exactly the same, Shinobi, Thor, Red Dragon, Glacia, Labolas, which actually shows up as a boss in 14, and finally, and I'm not joking about this, Cum. I wish I was joking about that. These enemies come in from Final Fantasy III as reminders of our little game referencing, but what we find new here are another version of the Shinobi, that being a female version, and Uni's clone, which was not featured in this dungeon in Final Fantasy III, although this doesn't really change anything since Uni's clone is found in the ancient maze, so yeah. One important boss, however, is this colorful fucker, Amon. He is actually very important to the story. In Final Fantasy III, he was an optional boss, but in 14, he was the one who brought Xande back from the dead and helped reforge the Allegan Empire to its former glory. Due to the memory of death Xande had experienced, he tried to bring Hydaelyn to absolute darkness by harnessing the power of the sun through the artificial moon Dalamud. His goal was to bring everything to nothing, because to him, everything amounted to nothing. To him, nothing could last, so why last at all? This was back in the Third Astral Era, some thousands of years in the past. Now, due to the tower not being able to hold such power, instead of opening a door, it instead caused an earthquake so big, it brought the whole empire, including the tower, into the depths of the earth, forcing Xande, Amon, and all the inhabitants of the tower into a deep hibernated sleep for thousands of years. Which explains why Xande and Amon are alive and kicking today, and also why Xande looks like he's been taking the most hardcore steroids I've ever seen. Now, the reason for the unearthed tower in the first place was because of Bahamut and his slumber-disturbed fury. Due to his wrath, he not only changed Eorzea's physical shape, but also unearthed the Crystal Tower from deep within the earth, which is ironic because Bahamut was imprisoned inside the artificial moon Dalamud in the first place, which, if it wasn't for Dalamud, Syracuse's tower wouldn't have worked, which means Bahamut was captured in the moon for the sole purpose of opening the door to darkness, which caused an earthquake instead, and which buried his captures, which he unearthed after he was set free in a fire-bathed fury. Hashtag irony. Look, I could go on and on about this for a while, but we won't get into Bahamut until I finally finish those fucking coils, not having the best time with them at the moment. The tower's purpose was to bring darkness into the world, much like its counterpart, Final Fantasy III, and Xande is, well, exactly the same, afraid of death and tries to do something about it by summoning a power he had no right of awakening. So as the Warrior of Light, 3 or 14, it was your job to stop him and bring peace to the world. 14 being a little different, where at first it was just an archaeological dig, rather than a quest to save the world. It then became a quest to save the world when Une and Doga appeared. These two have a much less significance than their Final Fantasy III counterpart. They don't give you anything, you don't fight them for anything, and they're just there to move the plot along. Their story is that they're clones of the original Une and Doga, who wish to stop Xande from pouring the world into darkness. Since the originals knew they would die soon, they created obedient clones much different than the ones you fight in the tower, to carry out their last wish to stop Xande, break his covenant with the dwellers of darkness, and, well, save the world. There is also a big significance to this fellow, Garaha Tia, who for some reason also holds the blood of a royal Alog within him, although we won't be delving into his story until the next video. Xande, much like his Final Fantasy III counterpart, was quite tricky to fight back when this was new, though now he's a cakewalk with some things that would send you up a wall, Ancient Quake Meteor and him just being a badass. In all honesty, I like this boss fight. It was fun, and seeing him standing on his throne instead of sitting in it was fucking priceless. The huge bastard's too fucking small for his behemoth-sized chair. Why was it made that way? So with Xande's defeat, we should be done, right? Well, you know, Square Enix, what we thought was the last level with the final boss was just a 4 level for the last level where the true last boss is supposed to reside. Square and their tricks. So next time, we'll finish this trilogy by diving into the world of darkness. And I know you're annoyed of me saying that by now. And finally seeing the true final boss, the Cloud of Darkness. Yeah, I had to do it one more time, I'm sorry. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Okay, there's a bomb behind you, Steiner. Steiner. Steiner, there's a bomb. There's like a bomb behind you.
All you have been talking about is the darkness.